Hi, I'm
Hi,
Sam,
and I'm Sam.
and we're the Sams.
We are the Sams. And welcome, folks.
Yes, this is our first reaction video.
It is. And it's the
So,
first video with new software. Trying something out
yes.
here.
So y'all can
Yeah.
look at us in a different type of way. Okay, so let me just say this to the folks. Usually, Sam, when we talk, he will just bring a new question on me or a new topic, and it's just like so he can get my genuine, raw, natural reaction. For this one, my husband knows me. I had to get it 24 hours before because I thought, okay, it's regarding the Cheesecake Factory lady and the date. But I knew a little bit, like, when I first heard it, I'm like, I've met women like this. I've heard, this before. Oh, this is beneath me. And I didn't think too much of it. I didn't even see the whole video. I didn't even know there was a whole video. I just saw a caption and I was just like, here we go again. Well, yesterday, baby, I saw the original video of the date. Well, pre-date, getting to the date. I saw her 6-minute video of her car and her trying to explain, but then setting the platform for this talk show she went on. So I watched all of it. I watched it a couple of times because it had me flaming hot Cheetos. And to keep this episode, and I'm sure we're going to have a couple because I got lots to say, that to keep it PG, I had to get it all out 24 hours before. So by y'all, I have to really think about what I'm saying because what I want to say, baby, would not be allowed on the airways, okay? But I'm ready to, as they say, bring the smoke. And I'm also going to set this out. This is my 2 cents. This is my opinion. But if Miss Alicia is out there, ever sees this, please DM us so I can talk to you. Or if there is a woman out there that believes and feels and everything she had to say, every action she did, you are like, oh, she was right. That is me. Please, I want to talk to you. I have so many questions. I would love to talk to you. But that, again, we are going on my life experience and my opinion. So let's hit it, Sam.
Okay. With that, folks, I think I'm just a producer on this show. I had some thoughts as well, but I'm really excited just to actually do a reaction to something that has happened. That a lot of people are commenting on. You and I, we have conversations behind closed doors all the time.
Right.
And honestly, I thought that there was a lot that happened that isn't surprising. And I think we can just kind of give an opinion in terms of like how we get there, how we got here.
Right.
I personally just have a perspective on how we land in a space like this.
Right. And I don't even feel all that great. And I'm sorry my voice sounds like this, but I got to get this out, y'all. We got to talk about this. We have to talk about this.
So without further ado.
Hello? Nothing. I'm just talking to my girls. Okay. Told them I said hi.
Okay, pause.
Okay.
So, for people out there that are dating and trying for it to go to something further, this is the first big X. You are on a date with a man you are trying to get to know, and he is trying to get to know you. Why are you on your phone? Okay? And
I'm sorry. Continue with your opening statement.
And just for the simple fact that he was like, he is going along with this. He is okay I guess to, for you to, because we live in this world now where you got to have your phone in your hand, but where he's just like, oh, tell them, hey, where another person, because if I was him, I would have been like, why are you on your phone? You are supposed to be trying to get to know him. But that is the first X for this lady, Miss Alicia. Okay, act on.
All right. So here's my only response to that. And maybe this video I offer, I don't want to say literally devil's advocate, but maybe I just try to counter and offer the other perspective as much as I can understand it.
Okay.
So this reminds me of the movie we watched last night. Last night, Samantha and I watched a movie called Old Dads. And in the movie, it was essentially a dichotomy of two different generations, right? And I would only recommend it for those who can take strong language. The comedians in this thing, they go hard. But it was a dichotomy between two different generations. And I think even this is symbolic of how people move today in terms of using their phone to make content all of the time. I think personally, the reason it stands out to us is because this person looks a little bit more around our age and part of our generation. So I think that's why, I agree with your statement, because it's like,
right. This doesn't
feel like
she has conformed to the younger generation and is messing her up. Another thing is, all right, even if you're a content creator and blah, 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 everything is in content and you're trying to get to know this man because she says that later down the line.
Well, let's watch it happen.
Okay. All right.
Let me just get the door for you.
Okay.
He got me at the Cheesecake Factory, y'all. I ain't getting out this car. Yes.
Would you want me to open the door for you?
Look.
Are you're recording me?
Yeah. Yeah. This is the Cheesecake Factory. This is the Cheesecake Factory, y'all.
What's the problem with that?
This is a chain restaurant. Who takes someone that looks like this to a chain restaurant?
You want to talk?
Pause.
I'm fine with talking about it, even in front of them.
Oh yeah, I want to talk.
And actually, you know what, Sam? Let me see if I can switch up this view a little bit so that we are a little bit more front and center. All right, so look, y'all, we're live. We're figuring this out on the fly, but I think
while he's figuring it out, I can still talk. Okay.
All right, hold on.
Okay. All right. Okay. I felt like the beads of sweat started to form. First, her fakeness.
I'm sorry. Hold on.
Right. They don't need to see me. They can hear me. Her phony fakeness of him parking and he's like, I'm gonna get the door for you. One, his name is Jay. I wrote their names down because I wanted to be as respectful as I possibly can. Jay, as a man, says, let me get the door for you. There are many guys that are nice guys, but they don't get the door. Like that is a lost art, okay? A lost piece of chivalry. He's like, let me get the door for you. She says, okay. Right then, if you were an adult and a woman and you really had an issue with it, you would have said something to him right then. No, you wanted to play him. He gets around the car and you're like, oh, I'm not opening this door. And then you're turning the camera to him. Like you wanted to play him because he's taking you to a chain restaurant. He didn't take you to McDonald's. And my thing, if you had such a big issue with Cheesecake Factory, when you were you shouldn't. It's the first date, okay? It's the first date. He didn't take you to some bottom of the barrel. And it's not like you've never been there. And I can see if it was a restaurant you really don't like, or you went there and made you sick or something, but you're an adult. In the car, you could have said something to him, like, I can't go here, whatever. than to let him get out the car, lock his car door so he can't get you out, and then you're trying to play him. Okay, so first off, here's a second X. You are rude. That was rude. Flat out rude. So you can play the tape.
Okay.
Or if you have something to say.
Sure. No, I thought it was very awkward. You know, it was extremely cringy. Locking the door just didn't even make sense to me of his car. And, you know, I think when he even realized that, okay, you're not getting out, I just told you what I was going to do. And if that was the issue, stop me before I do it. But then when he realized the door is not open, he's like, well, you know, hey, simple question. And then, you know, he realizes he's being recorded. And all of that to me just felt like, wow, you know, like this is so unnecessary. If there's something that you want to communicate to him. But again, I think her behavior, though, really is just part of a different error. It's just part of a different lifestyle and behavior. I know that you and I don't have a reference for it. I don't disagree with
any generation is unacceptable. That was flat out disrespectful, because one, you're recording him, he didn't know.
Right.
Two, you could have been a woman. If you are so against this is beneath you, okay. And then she's like, a woman that looks like this. Well, honey, let me tell you something, because the fabulousness and your beautifulness gets diminished with that stank ass attitude. Okay. Again, it don't matter what you look like. It's the first date.
Right.
Okay. First date. And all right.
Let's go.
About it. Yeah. Come on, get up on in the car. Yeah, we're going to talk about it.
We're going to talk about it.
Oh, okay.
She's
so
yes.
Let's talk about it. About it.
So you expect a man to go all out on the first date. Is that right?
I mean, you're supposed to. When you take out a beautiful woman and you're courting her, because I get courted. So you're courting her,
She is talking to
you're supposed to
her
take
phone.
care of her. You're supposed to cover her. You're supposed to protect her, cherish her, treat her well, right?
Yeah.
That's what you're supposed to do.
I agree. I went into this date as I expect, with the expectations for myself, to keep you safe, you know, to respect you, to pay for your food, of course, pick you up, of course, and just treat you like a gentleman, which I believe I have done.
I mean, you've been pretty nice, but I mean,
and then
Cheesecake Factory.
I, on the other hand, have certain expectations for a girl I go out with on the first date. I expect her to be respectful too. I expect her to be cooperative, and at least, you know.
What did I do that wasn't cooperative?
Well, I mean, like, even like when we were walking to the car, you wouldn't put your hand around my arm or anything like that, or hold my hand or anything like that.
I mean, it's too early for that.
Okay.
I don't know.
All right. So I want to actually pause it.
Okay.
So here's it's interesting, because I can see myself in his position where I've asked someone out for a date and I wanted to be chivalrous, right? And sort of like not just my behavior, but even visually chivalrous. You know what I'm saying? And I think there is an old school to having someone's hand in their arm, you know? And
you're a nice guy. Jay's a nice guy.
Sure. But again, I think the other piece is even being a nice guy. I mean, a nice guy is part of it. And I'll accept the fact that I'm kind-hearted, right? I believe I am kind-hearted. But that doesn't lead me to that action per se. But I think the bigger point is, if I were to request or extend that at like a first date and my date were to decline, it would change the atmosphere for the rest of the date. And so I do acknowledge that there is like holding hands, like what do you call PDAs, right? There are certain rules around public displays of affection. And I get that. And not everybody, hold on, Samantha, not everybody wants to be touched, right?
Mhm.
And I get all of that. So I'm not trying to dismiss people's personal preferences, but there are certain things that are just symbolic, right? And I think that's what he was extending, is sort of like the symbolism of we're together, and it's sort of showmanship a bit, you know. And I think to decline it outright, to me, signals to him that I'm not interested in you even trying to be a symbol of those things for me. And so for me, it would absolutely change the tenure of the rest of the date.
It would change the vibe. But
It would
here, let
change
me
the
tell
vibe.
you, I can tell you what happened. She has on heels, right? She has on heels. He may have been helping her down the steps or to walk to the car. So he extended his arm. She didn't take it as a lady would have, because she's talking about something's too early. It's not too early if he sees that you, to give you some assistance or to be kind. It's not like you slobbing him down or y'all even holding hands. I'm sure he was trying to help her to the car and her mom.
But let's say it wasn't out of aid and support. You know, let's say he just wanted to do that in terms
Give
of
you your arm is not too early for nobody. I'm sure there are.
Samantha, I'm saying let's say it's not for aid or support.
Okay.
Like even in a scenario where he wasn't trying to help her walk, I think he just still wanted to have a certain posture about them going out and like who they were
Right
together. That's how I interpreted it. You know what I mean?
Like, it's not a work.
It just seems like something he does and something he would do.
Right.
So
I feel like grabbing someone's arm, taking someone's arm, and holding hands are different. And for her, it's not too early to take someone's arm. Okay.
I mean, to each his own. To each his own. I'm just saying that's. And again, you and I are purposely choosing to play both sides of the coin here.
That's fine. Right. I'm just telling you how I'm seeing it. Okay, with my bifocals.
I can respect that. I can respect that. Okay. When I got to your apartment to pick you up, you didn't want to invite me in. I can respect that too. We're not
again.
I don't know there
yet.
Okay. I don't know yet. And then, but
that's fair.
I mean, I feel like I'm doing everything I'm supposed to do.
That's fine. It's too early. You
I got myself all made
up.
Nothing
wrong with the Cheesecake Factory, right?
Yes, there's a lot wrong with the Cheesecake Factory.
Okay, well, look at my plan where we were gonna go originally.
See, now that's where we should have went. All right there. Call him. No. What do you mean no?
See, I specifically told you.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did.
Up at 4 a.m. At 4 p.m. Right? And I got to your place at 4 p.m. You didn't even come downstairs for another hour, and so I was waiting downstairs for an hour. Right?
But I wasn't expecting for what to take me so long.
There's no way.
No, you can keep going because I got it.
Home a little late. And like I said, I don't know you well enough to invite you up into my apartment. And that is not possible.
And that's why I'm thinking, okay, if we're not there in the relationship to, meet at your apartment, then maybe we're not ready in a relationship for such a nice, fancy restaurant as Aria. Especially if I'm paying for the whole thing. Which I'm still willing to do. I would have been. But if we're late, I told you twice.
Late. It wasn't that late.
We literally left your place at the time the reservation was supposed to be. And I specifically said 4 because maybe we could get there early and even have some time to get to know each other on the way there and while we're in the parking lot. Waiting for a reservation.
We can still get to know each other. Isn't there another restaurant you can call that, the equivalent to that? I mean,
I literally
you don't understand. Look at me. I cannot go in the Cheesecake Factory.
Look at you.
There's nothing wrong with
I will die. That's
going
embarrassing.
down alone.
Sorry, so I got to stop it, right?
Okay.
Because to me, I just think there's low-hanging fruit. They're not equally yoked at all, right? So because it's not like there's not a man who also doesn't feel the way she feels. It's not like there isn't a man who also feels the way that she feels.
Right, but she's not getting that man. And here's another thing.
Well, I mean, she may or may not. He's not that man. And I think to me, like,
that's
come out. That to me is just like the simple. That is just like simply looking at this. You're looking at people who approach life very differently. Period. There are certain people who won't go to a Cheesecake Factory. I mean, those people actually do exist. But
that wasn't his first intent. He was taking her to Aria.
But that's not my point, Samantha. You're missing my point. It's not about what his first intent is. He still likes the Cheesecake Factory. There are certain people who will not go to the Cheesecake Factory first, second, or third option. That's the point that I'm making. And all I'm saying is that you're looking at a situation where two people are obviously not evenly yoked. That's my just impressions of this, right? Because now what's also happening is that I want to say preferences, but she's conveying them as absolutes, right? In terms of like the types of places that she will only walk into. It makes her look completely out of touch. It does make her look completely out of touch because she's with someone who is much more down to earth. It feels in terms of like how he moves in the world. So this seems very much of like a clash of symbols, and I feel like that's one component of this.
Okay, well, here is the big right? Because baby, her wheels are turning, and one, what kind of who? All right, let me back up. Okay. I'm trying here. I'm trying so hard because the words are so easy. They come out so easy.
Remember, this is going on the interwebs.
Okay. She says that she got caught up with work and then she was an hour late. You couldn't and had this man sitting out here for an hour. One, that is disrespectful. You couldn't have, and she talk about communication. Everybody, communicate, blah, blah, blah. Why didn't you communicate like you're doing to your girls online that you are running behind? Okay, so she missed a blessing for going to this fancy restaurant because you thought it was cool and all right to have a person waiting an hour for you so you can, how beautiful, how blah, 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 getting yourself together. If you were all that together, it wouldn't take you an hour. Okay, you just wanted to have him wait because you wanted to feel like, oh, I am so up there on my pedestal and he's putting me there too, that he's going to wait for me because I deserve it. You don't deserve it. Nobody deserves to be waiting around for nobody. Okay, so so she missed her fancy restaurant that he was going to take her to on the first date, which she don't need to, because again, if he's footing the bill, I'm not a man. But if I'm out here dating, I'm not taking you to the creme, 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 and the first date, because again, we're getting to know each other. Why can't we get to know each other on an okay restaurant?
This is fascinating because now I feel like we're just going to have to park here for a little bit because the expectations are precisely that, right? And I think it goes back to my whole conversation. We just left a video about what should dating look like when your intent is marriage. And to me, this is the game of dating. This is precisely what I'm saying, what dating looks like today and how none of this leads towards the idea of marriage. The way he is approaching it, he wanted to get to know her. And maybe like that should be the new tagline. Like, I want to get to know you. You know what I'm saying? Like when I first met you, I wanted to get to know you. And it's not like, hey, do you want to go on a date? Because when you ask to go on a date, there are expectations, especially like when you ask a woman to go on a date, there are expectations of what that experience is to hold. But however, if you ask a lady, do you want to get to know each other? But it changes what that next interaction could be.
It does, but as a lady, I still want to go on a date, and you can get to know me on a date. Her big issue kept saying it's a chain restaurant. What if he would have took you to a non-chain restaurant and it was a trash Ola? Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, her whole thing is chain. And she could have had the opportunity as an adult, communication, to just say to him, and I think he would have been okay with it if she would have said, when he was pulling up to the Cheesecake Factory, you know, I don't care for this restaurant. Is there anywhere else we can go? He, I'm sure, would have tried somewhere else. But no, her funky ass, her funky
Samantha,
attitude. I'm sorry.
Because you're missing it. You're upset that that's how she moves. And I'm saying that that would not have worked. Her just simply saying, hey, you know what? I'm not too fond of this. Is there anywhere else? Because anywhere else wouldn't have qualified for her. Like, the issue is that these two people should have never gone on a date.
Right.
That's the problem. And I think it's that simple. And so even what her desires are, there's somebody out there who moves that way. Now, is that person interested in her? I don't know. No. You know, I think she doesn't, because here's the other thing. If you're interested in somebody, I personally believe you'll just move differently. I don't think she'll make him wait for an hour. I don't think she'll jump online the whole time, you know, instead of actually trying to engage with the person that she is interested in. But maybe she would. I don't know. Maybe that's just how she goes on dates. With that said, for a man who's like truly trying to determine if this is a person for life, that kind of engagement it will never work. Like, if the man is interested in really trying to vet who you are for him, then to not give him attention, that never works. Just a FYI. Game is game. That would never work.
And I just feel like she, you know, in multiple videos, and she's just like, for my girls, like, they could never see me there, blah, blah, blah. Your girl's not going to keep you warm at night, boo. You, like, if you are looking to gain a husband, then the way you're moving ain't working. And it's not. Because even if there is
a Samantha, I don't disagree, but I think the challenge is a little bit greater than just her girls, right? Like, there's a societal message around what dating should look like and the expectations of men in dating. And I think a lot of that is skewed, but it has this sort of dynamic where, as a woman, I show up, and as a man, you perform to your highest abilities for me to determine if this moves forward. And I just think that in reality, there's actually a level playing field that is existing, where a man is looking for the same kind of signals that you are actually invested in trying to be with me as well. And I think what happens in the dating environment, there's at times it seems to be sort of a one-way street in terms of ensuring the other person knows how I feel and what I'm willing to do for them. And that's where, again, it doesn't, to me, lead to anything meaningful, in my opinion. And that's why I think the idea of like taking that out the window and saying, look, I want to get to know you. And what does that look like? Because you can get to know somebody in so many ways. And I think, honestly, if a woman was really interested in like finding her man and somebody came up to her and was just talking to her regular, you know, not spitting game, and at the end of the conversation saying, instead of saying, you know what, would you like to go on a date, said, can we connect again? I want to get to know you. Do you want to get to know me? And like, said that, because when you say those words, it opens up the options that you have. But I think it's important because you earlier said, but you can get to know me on a date. Like, women still want dates, you know, because again, but that's the messaging and programming around it, though. I'm just trying to say that you can't excoriate a person who adopts maybe more of the expectations that society has than you would. But to me, it's all is what is presented. Also. And we see it too. Like men walk into it with their eyes open. Men know. It's not that men don't know. We're sitting next to each other in the room when the commercials are coming on. You know, like we're your brothers, sister, or your brothers, your cousins, your uncles. Like we are part of the same indoctrination of programming. And so that's why we understand sort of what the expectation is. But when it comes down to a man making the determination in terms of, can I rock with you for life? It doesn't matter what that messaging is. The way he is looking at you cuts through all of that. And I think that's the one area that I think is just missed in this dating game, as I call it.
Right. But I'm saying, like, with me, right? I, in no ways, like, I feel like ever conducted myself like this, like Alicia, right? But it's like, I feel like after the numbers are exchanged or the first interaction of us talking, and it's a great conversation, we exchange numbers, we're talking, we're texting, we're getting to know each other. And then it's like, you as a woman or as me, I'm waiting for him to ask me to go on a date. Because even there, it's like, we're going to get to know each other more, but I need to see some action, because all this talking, okay, where's it?
Yeah, but see, that's because you really want to get to know him. I think she really wanted to go on a date. That's my point. I think fundamentally,
she should have went with her girls.
Why? He's paying for a date. I mean, like you can't. I can't throw that back in her face because a man asked her on a date. Like, that's still an experience. Like you just said, you want to get to know her on a date. Women want dates, so a man asked her on a date. That's an experience in itself. And if she was on time, she would have had even gone to the type of place that she would have liked. But because it was just a date for her, it wasn't serious.
Right.
That's my point. For him,
Agreed.
He's like, look, I like you. Or I don't know if I like you, but I'm attracted enough to say hello, and I want to see if there's something here.
Right. And
for her, it was just a date.
Right.
And I think we have to at least be fair enough to recognize that she wasn't approaching it the same way he was.
Okay, even approaching it as just a date, man, this guy is nice. Let me get my free meal. Let me just have a good night out. She was still rude and disrespectful.
I agree.
Because I know girls, women, whatever, where it's like, you know, oh, I want to, go out. I want to have a nice time. I'm going to go have dinner with this gentleman, like, whatever. But would never act like her. Like, she was disrespectful and rude. So she missed her blessing or her meal. Okay. And you'll see what else, folks.
And away we go.
Listen, as I said, I have very specific certain expectations for that. I can tell it's not gonna be there. And maybe we're not right for each other. So respectfully, I'm gonna just drop you off at home.
Oh no, he didn't.
Yes, he did, mamas. Yes, he did.
Very good assessment.
You just want to call it a night?
Right. There's no point.
Isn't there some kind of compromise?
This is perfect.
Ladies, can you believe this?
Yes.
I'm sorry, y'all.
And good for him. Good for him.
If I don't feel respected, I am not gonna go through the rest of the day.
Come on, what?
That's perfect.
You really leaving?
I said, did he?
I mean, you didn't want this place anyway, right?
I understand that I was late. I understand that. I understand that I could have been a bit more cooperative. You made some good points. That's why I'm willing to compromise.
She did put her best foot forward, and there's no compromising, boo.
I don't have a lot of rules. I don't have a lot of expectations for a first date, but I've already set them, and you've broken every one. So
good for him, man.
I'm sorry. We're dropping you off home.
All right, whatever. Well, I guess I understand. You got to do what you got to do.
Right, just like you, boo. You had to put him out there and try to play him. Now you want to eat your Stouffer's dinner home.
Well, I'm sorry. I understand where you're coming from.
He handled it perfect. He and I share the same. It's like there's no point to even try to figure out what's next here. You know, like
he handled it so well, because it's crazy. Because it's like, God no, because if I was a man, I would not have handled it like that. And it was beautiful. Like, he was calm. Like, he was so calm.
Listen,
like, and you know,
FYI, men and women have to move in this world very differently.
I'm not saying he had to be hype and aggressive. I'm just saying, like, I wasn't even on this date. I just saw the video, and I am flaming hot Cheetos.
He was calm, cool, and collected because it wasn't about. There's nothing to be upset about. Like that's the reality. It's like, why am I upset that I'm with a person I'm not evenly yoked with? It's, we're just two different people, and he can just chalk it as that. Like, there's nothing. Right. He thought, now being rude, that to me was like, you don't have to be disrespectful, but you look at the world in a very different lens, and I recognize that. So there is no making up to then sit down and talk about what I can assess that much already. I'm dating with a different desire. And again, that's why I talk about the intent of dating, because I've gone out on dates with women in the past where it was just to date. Like, I wanted to go out on a date. It wasn't to pull back all the onions and the layers of who she was and to offer them who I was. Pardon?
Just like your plus one. Like,
right. You know what I'm saying? So it's like the experience was the evening, and so under that pretense, I can see her saying, well, wait a minute, let's just still have the date, but what he was interested in, because what he was interested in was something very different. And once he realized you're not that, I don't even desire to take you out on a date, especially how you've been treating me thus far, so that's why I think he was able to kind of just shut it and just, move in a way where there was no poking the bear, because he emotionally was no longer invested in her.
I mean, I wholeheartedly agree. I give him thumbs up, hand clap. Like, he handled it very well. For her to be like, oh, can't we compromise? No, again, just like you said, it was too early to grab his arm. It's too early for this. It's too early for that. It's too early for me to feel like this on my first date with you. You go home. I don't got to spend my money, whether it be wherever. I don't need to compromise this early on. It's not like we've been dating and it's just like, no, I don't. And more people need to, like, even if it was the other way, like, a woman don't need to compromise if she feels like, why it's too early for this.
But like I said, her issue with the Cheesecake Factory, for her, I'm not trying to invalidate that, because I don't think you need to in this instance. I think it just represented the fact that those two people aren't the same kind of people.
Right.
Because there are people who would never choose the Cheesecake Factory on a first date. Believe it or not.
I hear you, babe, but that is like, if that wasn't the first choice. See, here's the thing.
It doesn't matter. There are certain people where it wouldn't be a choice. And I just think, like, that's the only point that I'm making, Samantha. There are certain people who will not go to the Cheesecake Factory. It is not just her. That's all I'm saying.
And there are certain people, when she was an hour late and she missed their reservation, because some fancy restaurants, if you don't show up, they charge you. How about that? And if I was the person waiting an hour for someone and we have reservations to somewhere, and that could have been the end. It would have been like,
I don't disagree with you. Here's the challenge, right? Let's say they went to the correct restaurant the first time.
Okay.
What happens next time?
I feel like on that date, and it's unfortunate, but eventually he would have found out about this. Right. Or again, because she's like, my girls, I can't, blah, blah, blah. Like, who are you living for? Yourself or these people online?
But I think, that's fair. But I think, we can all ask ourselves those questions. I mean, that's not unique to her. Like I don't think that it didn't feel like to me that she wasn't being authentically who she was. It didn't seem like she was just, and even people who live for the Joneses, that's how they live.
I feel like she was putting on.
But that's how she lives.
All right, Sam. I'm just saying, okay.
I'm saying that there are people who live like that. I don't think, right. I mean, we're not psychotherapists. We're not going to try to break down why people live certain ways. Like that's just a person who lives.
And I'm not saying that. And I know I get it. Like there are restaurants like I won't go to, but I'm just saying, but no. If that is the case, she could express herself and verbally say this to the other person to make them understand, or to try to play him because that's where he decided. My thing is, there are men that will not take her or not even think about the Cheesecake Factory, but the way her attitude was, she's not getting them either.
I'm saying I agree with you wholeheartedly.
I agree.
There's two situations: her attitude and her lifestyle. Attitude. Right. I'm saying that there's a lifestyle component that you're hammering, and I'm saying certain people live certain lifestyles. It is what it is. But the attitude is the attitude, and that runs through any lifestyle. And her attitude is always going to have her on the outside looking in. I agree with you wholeheartedly. I can't look at the other side of the coin, only except for the fact that it is largely acceptable. Like, it's not like that behavior we haven't seen before. So meaning that it's getting endorsed somewhere. There's a reason people believe. But it's not just her own little circle, Samantha. That's the first time we saw that lady. You trying to tell me we've never seen women behave like that before?
Right.
Come on now.
Yes, I have. Right. And
so
they are alone.
It's who?
And they are alone.
I'm saying that it's messaging. It's not just hitting these people. It's hitting everybody. There's messaging that goes to everybody relating to like what treatment should or can look like. To be that just disrespectful to a man who is taking you on a date, because again, the value of the man I think is so minimized where that is somehow appropriate. That it's appropriate to treat a man like that while you're on a date with him. He almost felt like a chauffeur. He didn't seem like a date. He felt like a chauffeur, like this guy is going to take me out and pay for my time out. And this is what men do. This is your utility. And you're seeing that. Pardon?
I said, and just how you frame that, it sounds like you're an escort.
Listen, it's a transactional relationship. And I think for him, he's like, look, at least you can give me respect if I'm going to pay for this whole thing. And the fact that you won't even respect me, I won't even do what I know is expected of me to do. Because he was like, he waited for an hour. Like he was still like, all right, and he knew. And to your point, even the whole in the car early on, it was like, oh, hi. Like he didn't know immediately that it was friends on the phone until he realizes there's friends on the phone. And now he realizes when he gets out the car that this whole conversation is going to be public. Right. So he was accepting of, he's all right, you want to talk about it? Let's talk about it. So he was trying to still play his part, not because it's fair or it's right, only because that is what the messaging says you're going to have to endure to date women. And this guy got to a point where he's like, I don't have a lot of rules, but you broke them.
You broke the two.
You broke every two that I got, Right. And so it was just like, so I'm just giving you insight in terms of the dating expectations, what we all accept because of the messaging that we're all receiving.
Okay, and let me just say my closing statement.
Let's do it.
Is for people out there, men, women, anybody in between, right? You can have standards, right? Or your own preference. But to then someone that is trying to get to know you, someone that is taking you on a date, to be that disrespectful is unacceptable. Okay, and whatever level you are at, it is disrespectful. Also, if you're genuinely trying to get to know this person, you will not be on your phone. You could take that, you could get online as your content creator or whatever and talk about it later. That is also disrespectful. And if we're adulting here, communicate. You can verbally say your preferences again because you are getting to know this person. And this woman, Alicia, did not do that. And that is why she is home alone.
So my slim thoughts on this is simply, this is why I don't believe romantically dating is what should take place if your interests are truly marriage or a long-term relationship. I think we saw a situation where one woman wanted to just go on a date. Like that was the extent of her experience with this person. And you had a guy who was interested in trying to get to know someone. So they weren't evenly yoked from the onset in terms of the potential outcomes of what this is. Dating can just be an exercise of just a night. And I think that was all she was interested in. It really wasn't about him at all. It wasn't about him. It was about what he could offer her in terms of an experience that she wanted in her heart to share with someone else. She wanted to share it with friends. She wasn't interested in the guy, right? So all I'm saying is that from this kind of footage, when you meet someone, I think there's ways to learn up front, through conversation before you even go on that first date. What is this? And I think if what is this is aligned, then move forward. But if it's not, it's okay. Right. I think we have to accept the fact that that's okay as well. And so if you truly want to get to know somebody, lead with that, because then the environment is just background as opposed to the environment being the main thing for her. For him, they could have had dinner anywhere as long as he's getting a chance to meet her, because that's what his desires are. Right. But he didn't just take her anywhere, but it could have been. For her, there was only a short list of options because of what the experience was for her. So again, if you want to get to know somebody, lead with that. If you want to go on a date for the sake of dating, then let that be known as well. I think that's okay. But I think what we saw here are two people who have very different perspectives. And again, I do agree with Samantha. Being respectful is just like, treat people the way you want to be treated. It's just that simple. And there's no way that in her conduct, she would have wanted to be treated the way she was treating that guy. Like you can't sell me on that. So.
And lastly, because I know you say like guys have to endure so much. I just want to shout out Jay, you handled that whole experience respectfully, calmly. So kudos to you, because I was over here beating sweat with the anger.
And you'll be fine, man. Just stand on yours and let this be a lesson learned. You know what I'm saying? Even when you're inviting someone out on a date, when you get a chance to talk to them for a little bit, there's some vetting that you can do beforehand, right? Before you actually come out your pocket to learn that, because to the point where you didn't even continue the date. I mean, you could have already, had expenses first. Right. And I think that kind of vetting can take place, yes. So
our first reaction video, stay blessed.
Peace.
Please like and subscribe.
And feel free to hit the notification button. That way you'll know exactly when all of our videos will be released.